IVM.
Hey everybody, welcome to another week on the IVM Podcast Network. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Paytm Money Upfront. We're still in lockdown and we're trying our best to make our releases work, but we are occasionally getting a little late or slipping on some episodes. Hope that you guys continue to remain patient with us. Check out our social media accounts. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're doing something over there called the IVM Smart Guide. A bunch of our hosts are talking about things to do during the lockdown, books, movies, podcasts, etc. Check it out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And let's get you onto your show right now.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach Podcast, the bite-sized podcast filled with quick and easy, actionable habits. Remember, great habits create that awesome life. I'm Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach. Today's fun fact of the day has to do with archery. Did you know that in traditional archery, there is no structure to aiming? In all guns, there is a front sight and a back sight. By aligning these two, you can aim at a target. And the same system exists in modern archery, where you align the target and the sight. However, in the most basic traditional bows, there is no such system. Hence, you have to rely on the natural bodily instincts to hit the target. A good analogy is the way we throw a stone. We pick up a stone and throw it. The body figures out how to experience it, how to hit the target. The most important thing is that you need a target or a goal to aim at. When I started teaching myself archery, I would just try and hit the target, not focusing on any particular point on the target. However, as soon as I started focusing on one spot on the target, my aim improved dramatically. The same thing happens with us and the way we form habits. Very often we start the process of creating a habit because we think it's a good idea, or we hear that someone else is doing it, or you hear it on a podcast. However, what happens when we don't plan for the habit properly? And by plan, I mean that we should know if the habit will continue to be a part of our lives forever, or is it something that will change and transform, or is it something very temporary? For example, if you want to run a marathon, in 6 months, the habits you will create for this goal are different for the habits that you will create if you want to do running as some form of cardio exercise. You have to focus on a point on the target, or else it's just like shooting in a direction and hoping something happens. During the last few days of quarantine, a lot of people have written to me saying that they are very excited about changing their lives, putting in all the habits they have always wanted to, but because of work, were not able to. In India, the quarantine period was originally 21 days, and hence most people immediately associated the 21 days with the famous book Power of Habits, which says it takes 21 days to form a habit. I, of course, don't agree with the 21-day philosophy, as you would have heard in other podcasts. Instead, I focus on doing something small consistently and never missing 2 days in a row. The bigger problem with this idea of making life habit changes in this period is that this period does not represent your reality. It is an artificial creation. You have so much time now because of the quarantine. When life gets back to normal, the time will disappear. And so will the habit that you just spent time creating. My point is, do not use a temporary change in life to create a habit that you want for the rest of your life. Instead, use this temporary change to work on a temporary goal. Firstly, you have a better chance of achieving it for this period of time. Secondly, now you have a point on a target that you're aiming for. I call this a quarantine goal. For example, a quarantine goal could be practice intermittent fasting every day. The habit for this would be only eat 2 meals a day. Or a quarantine goal could be finish one online course to further my career. The habit for this would be spend 1 hour a day doing the online course. Or a quarantine goal could be finish writing a book. And the habit for that would be write 2000 words every day. Once quarantine ends and we are allowed to go about our daily lives, then these habits can change and morph into the new lifestyle. Or they might be dropped altogether. I might not be able to take out so much time each day to sustain this habit. And that is fine, because you would have achieved your quarantine goal by then. So your simple habit starts by figuring out a quarantine goal, something you can achieve in a few weeks. Then create the small habit you can do every single day to achieve it. Just like in archery, aim at one spot on the target, not just the general direction of the target.
So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
Welcome to Peak Planet, a new podcast where we delve into the fallouts of the growth path that we, and indeed much of the world, has chosen. Sustainable growth is the buzzword. Until we nail that down, we need to ensure that we keep our population healthy and also have the resources for our increasingly urban lifestyles. I'm Karthik Ganesan, a researcher at the Council on Energy, Environment and Water, a Delhi-based policy research institute where for almost a decade we've been trying to explain and change the use, reuse and misuse of our resources. In the first season of Peak Planet, we take up air pollution, public enemy number one and an invisible one at that. Increasingly, the most important risk factor for adverse health outcomes, air pollution has become the most unwanted byproduct for aggressively growing economy. Over 4 episodes, we find out how prepared our systems are to deal with this crisis. You can catch the entire first season of Peak Planet out now on the IVM Podcasts app or website, or wherever you get your podcast from.
रिश्ते में तो हम तुम्हारे पॉडकास्ट लगते हैं. नाम है फुटबॉल शूटबॉल.
Presenting Football Shortball, a show about 3 friends discussing our favorite game over a beer. Sometimes 3, maybe even 5. Hi, I'm Shiva, and with me are my 2 sidekicks, Gaurav Sapre and Karthik Iyer.
Sidekick? You mean like Batman's Robin or Van Persie Robin?
No, I mean like Alexis Sanchez, but with a little more skill than just playing the piano.
Ha! Just shows how the best players at Arsenal are mere bench warmers at United.
Oh, thank you, Iyer. But you're a Fulham supporter, so whenever you say anything to support me, I question my beliefs.
Just like how Griezmann would say, एक बार मैंने जो decision ले लिया, तो मैं अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनता.
Banter aside, we will talk match reports, transfer rumors, top controversies, fantasy football picks, and so much more. So grab a beer and tune in to Football Shortball every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.